let's go over and we're on page Tafkut Sadites at the bottom. So now we went through the phrase Nohir Yud Betrin. So a question about what the two is so. The two usually means some said the Vav and Dalid and some say different things. So this one here says V'Nohir Ma'aver Lenukva. So it shines, and then it passes over into the Nukva. So now this goes like this. He says, Reya bebir amshula hein lefi oriza, vein lefi agro, shizboyer iniv nahir ma'ava the nukva. So now we'll explain it. The hainach aras gavuras the ima, that is the illumination or the radiance that comes from the gavuras of ima. Now, ima is a side of gavura. Let's say oivrim al hanukva cheshava'achre zer anpen that pass ultimately to the nukva on the back of their anpen, ubonin and misaktim as partsufa ein sham. So these are the oros that pass through. So we had in the other one this idea of that the zeranpin is in 3 lines, and she's in 3 lines, and this passed through like she matches up on them. Her malchus, that is malchus itself, matches up to those 3 lines. V'hu al pi divrei ha'idra rabba, that's what the Idra Rabba says, ukamuva v'divrei Rizal, begam b'komos ayin sham, v'chein bir v'afisha, kan ata navi shar bi'urim. Now we're going to bring the rest of them, and let's see what they want to say. Let me see. Okay. So, right. So he says, Rei ba'or yakar sham. So what the Yor Yakar says. He says, Shabir Khan the Fidarko, so he explains. Beferish Arishona now, she is so the Zer Anpen Hanikra Yud. So the Yud, let's just go over the words. No problem that the Yisod Zer Anpen would be called the Yud. Nahir, and it shines. Mekoich Aras Abba Ve'ima Shehem Trin. So because why this is the two that we're talking about, that we were talking about, is this Abba Ve'ima shine into Zer Anpen. So through the Yisod it goes to the Nukva. So Zivug Loholeda for the purpose of bringing forth was right Holeda for birth. He says, now let's just look at what he said. Behind so the Nahir, that's the secret of shining. What is this? What secret is that? 1 second. He says, his pashtos yisod hamoled b'malchus, which I guess moled, which brings forth an embryo in malchus. Lahashkos as hagan, in order to be able to water the gofshi that is malchus. The Haida Omro that they say like this, Ma'aver the Nukva, V'derek Zeri is Boyer called a Shmua. So now that we understand this, we're bringing it over there, then we understand it all. So it's really 2 coming from Abba Ve'ima going to Zer Anpen, and then going to also to the Nukvas. It's another set of 2. So it says number Gimel, he says Rei Od Be'or Yaakov. Now there's more than Or Yaakov, and he says Sham Shabir Khan the Fidarko. Now we'll look at the second pirush that he gave us about shining, that is the Yud shining. Shachachma, which is Abba, Shuhu Yud, Nachar B'shar Zer Vanuk, he shines into the roots of Zer Anpin. So he's telling us that the roots of Zer Anpin are actually contained, here you see this, in Abba. Animsaim Besocho Besod Milui Vovdal, they're inside of Abba to begin with. Shal Os Yud Vav Daled, they're an extension. They're also number 10. But it's, in other words, they have the DNA of 10 in them right at the place of Abba himself. So these roots here, Nitnim min Abba the Ima, they're given for Abba the Ima. So these roots are given into Ima, Bebechinas Ha'ara. So, but it's an aspect of a Ha'ara. In other words, it's not this sounds like it's not the essence of them, but it's a light that shines in. It's an illumination, a secondary light, min Abba ve'ima. Vaz miseveras, and from that illumination or that radiance that comes from Abba, Oz miseveras ima nukva b'shrashim elu. So this is where ima becomes impregnated with the children who are going to develop into the Zachar V'Nuk. So this is where it comes into the Ima, which is the Nukva in this situation. But Shroshim Ela, she has these roots now. Okay, now we have another little break, I think, or no. Okay, still going. Let me see. Okay, there we know. It did stop. Okay, back again. So he says, so these Shroshim are shown into, the Shroshim are shined into the Nukva, and they're gestated. V'nacher yichud ha'chavayis sharshes there v'nuk. So he says, then when he says what? And then shined the yichud of the chavayis. Now, here's a phrase that he's using. He says the yichud of chavayis. Nobody said that this develops into chavaya, but it is. So he says the yichud that takes place of the chavayis, which are the shroshim, azar v'nuk, shehem du, which are these two letters, dalet and vav, the pair, the nukva shehi bina v'hi miseveres mechem. So all this gets shown. I just want to read it one more time. This just seems like a little confusing to me. So he says you have a ha'ara that shines min abba le'ima, v'az miseveres, and from that ha'ara she becomes impregnated. She is the nukva in this case. This is Zachar v'Nuk in the abba ve'ima sense, but shroshim elu, and she becomes impregnated with these. Apparently, from this, she develops into what these are now like havayas in some way. Okay, so they're shining now the yichud of the havayos, which apparently coming from Abba as a ha'ara into Ima. That's what I think he means. Sharshe zer v'nuk, shehem du, the nukva. So they shine ultimately into the nukva, shehibina, into that. So all of that is shining. So apparently the roots have within them, I guess he's coining this phrase that they're havayas. She becomes impregnated with it. This is what he means, that it shines, and it passes into the nukva while they're still part of the yud. They're just vav daled. Heim rak ha'ara bedakos. They're really very, very fine, very limited ha'ara. And then in that state, so he's once again nimshachin, they extend or they stream into bedekusim in a very, very small state. He said bedakos, very thin. There's not much to them. Min chachma, so they shine from the chachma. Chachma megalachos, but the chachma reveals them. Where does he reveal them? He says v'chachma megala osam. So it's chachma that causes them to be revealed. B'tochios abina, inside of bina. V'zeh aman nahir yud. So this is where it says, and the yud shines. What's the shining? What's the shining here behind them? Mitziyusim ba b'chachma, that their real reality or their essence comes from chachma. V'achar kach nahir mitziyusim, and then after that, that comes from chachma. Mitziyusim in a chachma elabina. So what's the focus just on that place? And Ma'av the Nukva, and ultimately they go over into the Nukva. Woo. The Nukva, V'haydach B'tzius Du B'sochius Sabina. So this is the concept here of the existence of this Du, these two, which is male and female, and again, Du in Latin means two. So because my question is why did he reverse it and stay and make it into Dalet and Vav instead of Vav and Dalet, which is the original way. So maybe he means something by that. So there's a little something here. Let's see if I can pick it up. Okay, so here it is on number Yud Ches. So still got to play with my glasses on these one. I got to sit back a little bit to be able to see it. Messiah Sham Derech Nosa, the Vilnosa of the Vilbir is out. So now let's add something of his elder Shono. Oh, after the Nahir, that is Chachma, the Hila Koach Ba. So he says it's possible that what's actually happening, because the question is he doesn't give it to her, he shines it into her. It's this little slightly different. It's once removed. So he says, after the Nahir HaChachma Dechida Koach. So the first thing is he gives a potential into her, or an energy into her, Bo, Bebina, Kadei shetuchul l'kabel l'chavayus. So the first thing he has to do is he has to shine into her, because without the shining, I think that's what he's trying to define here, why it says shining. He says shetuchul l'kabel l'chavayus, so that she should be prepared to be able to be makabel the chavayus. Okay, that's where that idea came from. Then the essence comes first, but so the question is on that word ha'ara. So why ha'ara? The ha'ara gives her the potential to be able to receive, or makes her the koach to be able to be makabel. So that's something also. So I guess what he's saying like this is that by herself, this idea is that by herself, whatever's going to be given to her from Abba is going to be very strong. So therefore, just like we have the Bia Rishona is making the Nukva into a Kli, that is Malchus into a Kli, so we have the same kind of idea here, is that making it possible for this, for let's say, like her womb is going to be aligned with this Ha'ara from Abba, and then it's going to come the Mitzios, Havayos Ba'atzman. And once again, he's calling the Vav and the Dalid by the name Havayos. So there's a little transition there might be missing, I'm not sure. Number Daled, B'fi Marish Saruk. So we always like the Riz Saruk. Bir Khan Lefi Darko. So we have to get into this. Let's read it through one time. So he was talking about it previously. He says the Ayer Betipas Zer V'nuk. We're really not talking about the way we heard it there. We had that exposition, very interesting, on Abba going into Ima. But now wants to go, and we're really talking about Zachar V'nuk. We're talking about Zer Anpin and Malchus should be Yesod Abba, Ein Sham, that are at this time in the Yesod of Abba. And I said maybe exactly the same thing. But here we're just focusing, instead of on the transmission to Ima, we're focusing on on the Vav and the Daled themselves, or what he calls the dew. V'nahir ma'ava l'nukva. Mila v'noyer enu loshen meir. So let's just understand this. He says it's not the same thing as shining. That's where I translated it. Kamo milas nohir kamaisa, like it said originally. So nohir sounds like it means meir. Ella loshen v'naru alav kolagoyim. So naru means like streaming, like this loshen nahar, like a river. So what difference does it make? So when it says it streams into Ima, Shipirusha Merutza, so it's running or it's moving. Besod Tipa Yored Kachetz, so it's a Merutza is Lashon moving fast. Like he said, the Tipa Yored Kachetz, so it I guess it rains down like an arrow. I guess it's moving fast. Kolomar she'Abba noisen the Tipa shall zer of a nukve, that Abba puts the Tipa of Zachar v'nuk, that is of the dew that he was talking about before, the nukve, derech yisod shalo le'ima, through his yisod into Ima, and the vihi hoiser mu'averes. So he says hoises is like in the past. And that's what it means, Ma'ava the Nukva is going in there. Now we have a little number 19 over here, Yotes. Let me see if I can find it. There it is. So he says, Le'el b'ha'ara, so he says, V'zel l'shon l'sham shechazrach v'zer v'nuk, the v'nukve, v'niknesach b'soch yisod Eric Anpen. So let's just go this a little bit slower here. He says the original seed of Zachar v'nuk, which is really in the mind of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, is that this is the name of the game right here, is that bringing this seed into fruition. And now he's saying Shachazro Zer v'nuk v'nik desucha b'soch yisod Eric Anpen. Okay, goes down into the bottom of Zer Anpen v'sham na'asa b'sod tipa, and then it becomes a drop. Now, I'm not sure what the significance is of that, just to tell us that's the fact, but just why a drop? I mean, you're going to make it into something, why a drop? V'Eric Anpin, Pashat Yado, we heard this before, he said this before, V'kabel hatipa, and he takes the tipa in his hand, V'nasan osuch la'aba derek mocho, and he places it into the head. Remember, we saw this already. And Misham yardach hatipa, ad netzach hod shal yesod, and then it goes down to the right legs of yesod itself, shal abba there. Now why do I need to know about netzach and hod? I don't know. Ad kan. You got to go over there. You got to see it. Okay, let's go on. We're still here, or Wait a minute. City National Bank and an incoming call. Let me take this. I got to take this call.
Hello. This is City National Bank of Florida. To securely confirm your identity and access your account, please press 1. To deny access to your account, please press 3. Press pound to repeat.
Oh, God. I don't know what's going on there. City National Bank, hang up. I don't know. Maybe my wife is doing something. I don't know. You're still there, Rebbe? I'm sorry. I thought maybe I was overdrawn or something like that. Okay, so let's go over here to wrapping that up again. So this is the concept of the flow of the tipa, and at the bottom of number Dalet it says Sha'aba noisin a tipa shel zer v'nuk derek hayisod shelo le'ima v'hi choisim uveris v'haina ma'avid l'nukva. So I guess going back to that, the question that we're asking is what's pshat over here that it goes from into the yisod of zer anpin, and particularly in the yisod of zer anpin it goes to the netzach and hod of zer anpin. Is that because of the 3 lines again? I mean, I'm not sure what that chiddush is there. Now let's see. We did number Yud Tes. We did that already. So let's go over now again, and let's go number Hey. He said, "Array b'Hadras Melech." Let's go see in the Hadras Melech what's playing. He says, "Shabir the Fidarko." Now it says like that. The Eirech Abakam b'Mochin the Abba that we're talking about over here. Mochin the Abba. Hameirim be'inu of zer anpin. So these mochin the Abba. So we just want to see about the right line. The right line is shining into Ima and then shining into zer anpin. But the zera bebir kan od so explains further over here. The zer anpin meir es haaras mochin the Abba. So what he's doing, he's holding the mochin the Abba el hanukva delay into his nukva. So what's so special about this? I mean, this is what we're always talking about. We're talking about really though the haaras of Abba and Ima, but here he wants to focus about Abba. Kinai the Abba meluvashim benai the Ima. The niknasim b'mochin the zer anpin, and they enter into the mochin of zer anpin. Umin zer anpin nahir ma'ava the nukvacha the kind of malchus. So then from there, okay, but we know all of that. Ki nehenis mibes aviha. So this is how, in fact, that she actually wants to say that the mochin of Abba are pure, and ultimately they go over into the nikva, to the nukva. Ki nehenis mibes aviha. She is able to enjoy from the house or get benefit. That's something like that. Al Yedei Baila through her husband, which is their Anpin, Ankan. I'm not sure exactly what that was, but let me get my brain back onto this again. And number Vav has some, I think, illuminating things. So let's see what it says. He said, look over the Zohar Chai. The Ozil Khan the Fidarko, that he's going here according to what he said before. The Ire kan bezivug the asiyas kli shall be a rishona. So this going back to that other idea. And we had something similar to bringing the koach into Ima earlier, but this one wants to focus on making the yichud by the bia rishona, who makes the nukva into a kli. And this is what explained over there. V'nahir ma'ava the nukva, and it shines, passes into the nukva. Now let's go back over here. He makes it into a kli, besod ma'aver. Ma'aver is passing over, which is the concept v'yavor, which the Sfardim call tachnun v'yavor, because that's where actually the transmission of the seed takes place in Shem v'Shem Kel Rachum v'Chanum, like that. He said v'shuhu osius av rayo. Now this is a little bit deeper here. Let's go back. He says Av, right? Av, you're taking the Av, which is the seed of Abba. And Rayo is the concept of sweetened din. That's what I know about it. That's what I think I know about it. Of a nukva who Av kadem, but in the nukva, it changes over. And this is an important thing for me because you see in a lot of different kavanos that this Av and kadem come together. So he says in the nukva hu av kedim ha'ola, and if you take av and kedim and you put it together, it comes to the gematria raya, which is the concept of the sweetened din placed into the nukva shel shem ben ki yedua kaf aleph. This is something to see here. Now, I'm not sure 100% what that meant. Listen, we have a few minutes, so I want to read it again. He says, Ray Bezor, because we're going to get something out of this. I hope this is our... Okay, we lost him there. Oh, Hashem Yishmaranu. Okay, so let's go down to number Kaf. Number Kaf. Cain who become a Makomo. So what was that phrase he said in Kaf? It says who Osius Avrayo. So we want to know about Avrayo. I've always wondered about Avrayo. He says Arabi Takuni Zower. Vod Re Bashar Hagavono. So all of these places we could find it. Hine Kol Hazivugim Heim Letzora Bira Benitzutzim Shalom Malachim. So all yichud, what's the purpose of the call hazivugim heim letzorach? The purpose of brira, be able to brivara the nitzutzim shalom malachim the miso asher heim misparo rapach, which are, we understand that the nitzutzim themselves are 288. 288 nitzutzim convenient v'yavor. Now it turns out that 288 is the same gematria as the word v'yavor. Shehem Avrayo, which also comes out to which you could take the word Yavor and you could break it into these two words Avrayo. Now, if we have to come back to see this tomorrow because we're running out of time, we still have a little bit of time, so I need to see this again. Kol hazivugim heim letzor bira netzutzim. That's why you need a yichud, because it allows the netzutzim to come up. The miso shechabehem mizbar rapach, which was 288 of them. Nitzutzim convenient v'avor shehem avrayo. So what are you going to do? You're going to, I don't know what, I haven't got a touch for what avrayo is doing with the 288 yet. I do not have, but it says the 288 are the same thing as the avrayo. So av, like I said before, in my opinion, refers to Abba. Now this really is what happens first. You're going to take out the 72s that are part of the 4 times 72 down there in the Rapach. You're going to take the lower 3. So we understand that they all come out to be the gematria of 72. So we're going to take these 3 72s, the lower 3, bedrush, rapach, and netzutzim. Okay, that you see over there. V'gimel av elu heim rayo. So if you take 3 avs, av times 3 comes to 216. V'heim nitanen ata el has-small. Wow. L'tzorach rayo, shuhu kli hanekeva kenedua. So my definition, which I said was a sweetened din, he says l'tzorach rayo shall kli hanekeva kenedua, that this is the rayo that really is the building block, or it is the womb of the nook. He says what kli hanekeva, that's a womb. Umin hayamin from the right side, shuhu sod hazachar nimshach tipus av mamish. The havira demilu yudin. So the av, which is so he's really detailed stuff here. Is av can be spelled in the milu of yudin as well. He says so. He said once again, umin hayamin shuhu sod hazachar nimshach tipus av. You come to tipus av mamish. The Havaya, the Milu Yudin, which is Yudvav Dal Ke Yudvav Yudvav Ke Yud. Hine Hatipa Hazos Hayeredis Ata. So this tipo that's going down now, he min hachesed the Atik Canal B'Techidus Adrash. Well, you had to see the Techidus of the Drush over there. He says, where is this coming from, this tipo? It really comes from the Chesed of Atik. He av the Havaya de Milu Yudin, and for this reason, it's coming from Atik. So it's a Havaya the Av the Milu Yudin, Vaharin Nishnable Av Raya Ad Khan. Now I'm going to go on and look at number 21. I think I need to study this more because there's a lot of meat there that I am not identifying because it's just a little bit too much. So he says, number Kaf Al is Ratzon Loma Rayo shall clead the Ima. So the Rayo, which represents, now he's telling us Rayo represents a Kli, who Gimel Pamim Av O the Rayo. So he says that's a fact. Okay, over there you have it in the Eitz Chaim. He says in Shartal, he said V'zel Lashono V'hine Haku Rucha Hu Kolu Begimul Shemus. The Av, it's three Avs. This Ruach. Now again, identifying what this Rucha is that he's talking about, but he says this Rucha, which is flowing, I guess moving, blowing, whatever you say about that. Kolu Begimul Shemus Av Demilu Yudin. V'hin Gematria Rayo. Ve'elu HaGimul Shemos. So these three names, Shenosin Ba Be'ima, that are placed into Ima Be'bia Rishona. So now these three Avs, She'ol and Rayo, Hein Be'bechinas HaKli. Now get this again because this is the punchline, right? This is a punchline. So he says they take 372s and you've got Rayo. And then you take these three names, and you plant them into Ima, and what do? They make her a Kli. Asher Ba, that she's a Kli, she's a womb, at Khan. So that's really, I think, the punchline of all the things we've been saying here. He says, where we talked about it, the Koach, or we said what? Now he said more specifically, the 372s. And these are the 372s that come from the lower Rapach of all of this together. Elu Rayo shall Kli the Nukva, so the Kli of the Nukva, who Shemos Av Kedim, but it changes. That's what it is at Ima stage. I believe that's what he said. But when it comes down to the Nukva, it changes into Av Kedim. Olam Gam came Rayo, which also comes, apparently Kedim is 2 times Rayo, 2 times Av rather. So he says Av Kedim. Which this on Kriya Shemana Alamita, they have this, just trying to figure out why, what does it do, and here we got something here. He says, V'nikra Rayo Atachton, and that's called the lower Rayo. So if Av Kedim is also Rayo, also Av. Kamuva Be'etz Chaim, it says, Abuzel L'shono, B'toch Devarav, V'achar kach noisim azer anpin bog benukva sod rayo tachton. He gives it a lower rayo. So the two rayos are the same in gematria, but the fact of the matter is that they just have a different structure. And he made this word into kedem. I don't know what's pshat. Kedem means first, maybe. V'hu shem ben the chavaya. So this is the concept of ben the chavaya. I don't know if he's coming back. Here he goes. Okay, here we go. I lost him there. Right at the end. We're right at the end here. V'zel l'shon of achakach noisen is there anpin ba benukva sod rayo tachton, which is this av kedem. B'hu shem ben dehayin. But he says what? Excuse me, I got the sequence wrong. First, he makes a kli in the womb of the nuk. That's done by the av kedem. Then after that, there's I guess he means a bia shnia. He says azer anpin benukva so rayo tachton. He gives it the lower rayo, which was the shame ben the hayin berevua the milui. Oh, I didn't read it all out. Then he gives it. If you take ben and you make it into which is a milui, into a revua, it comes out to the number, apparently he's saying that Shuhu Gematria Av Kedim, it comes out to the Gematria of Av Kedim. V'hu Gematria Rayo, which is also Rayo. V'zerav Kli Shal Nukva Shal Nekeva Tator. This is the Kli of the Nekeva Tator. Now that, I got a little mixed up in there. We were way making into the Kli of the Nukva is made out of Av Rayo. Let's go, Av Kedim rather. So his hapa olam gam came rayo benikro rayo atachton. L'kemuva be'etz chaim v'zel l'shon l'secha v'achar kach noisen hazer anpin ba benukva so rayo tachton. He places within her a lower rayo, rayo. Vuhu Shem Ben Dahayan. So it's the name Ben, which is a milui of Yudke Vavke in Hayan, Berevua of a milui in a Revua, and with the milui, Shahu Gematria Av Kedim. Comes back to that same Gematria again, Kenoida. So that has to be worked out, the Gematria there. Vuhu Gematria Ryo, and it comes once again, Ryo, Vizachav Kli, Shal Nakeva Tator. This is the Kli of the lower female, which is Malchus. This is Baruch Fleischman, and this has been the Tikkun Elevator Kollel in some deep ground, some ground that I need to know better.